There's a lot of excitement coming back into Sudbury. It's nice to see all the mines back in operation. We see the economy starting to pick up. You talk to various suppliers, they seem to be quite busy. We have municipal elections popping up. You see J. Rod's and Ted Callahan signs out there, so that should be an interesting one. And as Al mentioned, we have the CIM MIMO conference for which we're presenting a paper at as well this year. So lots of activity and excitement going on, and I go to some of these presentations and I do see most presenters start with a safety reminder. So amidst all the activity and enthusiasm we have happening in Sudbury, the road construction, we do see some impatient drivers. It is a new school year. Please slow down, be aware, and keep our kids safe. So I'd like to start our presentation. We were featured in the CIM magazine last month's issue, and it was under the Upfront Technology section, where we had an opportunity to showcase our open platform and really how our innovation is bringing people together. It's enabling collaborations with many experienced and seasoned people in this industry. And as an ICT company, not being too familiar with mining, there's been tremendous value in working with these key individuals. So we're happy to be here this evening to share our story. So the idea. In 2008, we started with an idea to really develop an open hardware software platform with the goals of facilitating the following: the interoperability of diverse systems, the delivery of intelligent software applications, and finally, the collection of data for real-time decision support. We see a movement in industry. It's very clear. We start to see more and more data requirements, more data being asked from multiple systems in order to make better informed decisions. With that becomes multiple sources of data coming in, different formats, different systems. Really, we're getting to the point where we need to standardize in a common understanding of data communication in order to facilitate the use of more systems. So that was the idea in 2008. We were initially funded through FedNor and NOHFC, really just with an idea at this point in time. And we did want to get into mining, obviously being in Sudbury as a context, but at this time it was just to go out and start developing a platform. We chose remote and rugged as the two real areas that we want to focus our attention to. Remote being underground and remote being far north. So being in the north, I think, and in Sudbury, we covered those very well. So the context for development. Really driving this is obviously the mining industry, and some of the industry needs that we've encountered since we got started was, again, a lot of the standardized data and communication, interoperability of technical systems. We're finding also a shift in what used to be a supplier-driven model where OEMs would go to the end user with a solution and then it was integrated. We're seeing now more of an end-user collaborative approach where we're utilizing a lot of the knowledge from the industries. It's being sent back to the OEMs in order to make changes. But in order to facilitate that, it becomes very difficult when you're working with a proprietary system that is not as flexible and open for change. So this was a very good quote that was that we pulled from a recent IBM white paper. It was published in 2009. And if you look at the timing of this as well, you look at, we went through an economic downturn in 2008, and I'm sure it was a period of time where end users could really take stock in what happened over the past several years of accelerated growth. And it was an opportunity, I think, to really identify some of the key drivers for future change in mining. And anyways, I think this quote really hits home there. So how do we achieve this? So in order to improve underground mine operations, We're looking at a standardized system really to monitor the status of every single piece of mobile equipment in an underground mine. The system should be able to collect engine, production, maintenance, inspection, location, environmental data on one common platform. The future as well is looking at a bi-directional system which would enable a dispatching model for underground. So looking at different types of equipment, from LHDs to drills to haul trucks to utility trucks. So what occurred to make this happen? I think there was alignment of a lot of key variables. Technology, economy, government, and social. I'll touch on each of these just really quickly. Technology, I mean, the advancements in technology over the past 10 years since the last downturn have been tremendous, and there's really been a movement of industrialized PCs into the marketplace, in other industries, particularly manufacturing, that have slowly now starting to make their way into the mining sector. So advancements in technology, advancements also in the infrastructure in existing mines. Most new mines being built for the future are Wi-Fi enabled. Old mines are not. The ability to move data, how do you do that in a timely fashion to allow for real-time data collection? And again, we've talked about the movement towards standardization. Standard bodies or standardization bodies such as ERIDIs, it's really been there for 10 years, but it's taken 10 years to get the attention of most of the OEMs and users to start working together. From an economy perspective, we look at the impact of a downturn, and for us as an SME, it's actually been a tremendous opportunity because we're able to get in front of the right people to talk to them. From a micro level, looking at our recent strike here locally, we've been able to have contact with individuals that we may not have had during full operations, as well as access to mining equipment for testing purposes. So that's been, if there's a good side to a downturn in a recession, we've benefited from that. Government as well. I'd say government policy and funding towards innovation, looking at how Canada or even our regional area of Sudbury can be more competitive globally. How do we achieve that? We need the policies, we need the funding, we need those programs in place to achieve that. So in 2008 we were aggressive and we sought these out, and it was challenging at first because SMEs were not on the radar, but I think over time that's starting to see the benefit of SMEs and the job creation that SMEs can create. Finally, social. You look at people's involvement in what we're doing. There's a change. You look at sort of the change in the guards from Inco to Vale. You look at Mark Kudafani, who was very much about change and helping people to change, and then Fred Stanford following closely by or afterwards. How do we get people to change? I really think the collection of data and understanding of how we can get people, scorecards. We love scorecards. Looking at a golf scorecard. How do we do this in a team approach to start to help facilitate that change? So that would be from a human performance perspective. I think there's also the change socially from closed to open systems, as we've talked about. And what's happening now too, I think in industry, there's a lot of knowledge transfer going on. Sammy's initiative with the Mine Wikipedia, I think, is an excellent example of that. That's the capture of domain knowledge or specific knowledge in the mining industry. I think that's really exciting. I see what we're doing is, it's very similar in a sense that we're able to capture the knowledge of key individuals and put them into applications, embedded applications that are going to be sitting or residing on, in this case, mobile mine equipment. So, and finally, social. I think collaborations, we're doing a lot more work together. End users, OEMs, technology providers, government. It's nice to see and it's encouraging. Finally, I guess for my slides are really the ingredients, what we see to innovation, what we've created to commercialize today. Really comes down to Again, you can read these in books. This is just my interpretation of it. Technology, we need an enabler. We need, in our case, we need a platform, a standardized platform to allow people to come together and create collaborations. Applications, so right, we've created a platform, so what can it do? Well, we want to do dynamic load weighing systems. We want to measure emissions from tailpipe in underground mining vehicles. This is new stuff. How do we do that? You know, having, again, a technology to facilitate these new advancements has been a benefit to these collaborations. Finally, the end users, and obviously quite important from a requirements perspective, as well as at the end of this. I mean, this is R&D, but it's a SME. We're motivated and driven to sell this in the marketplace. So having that adoption, that purchase order at the end of this, that's what SMEs are here for. And finally, the people. So the supporters along the way, and we're going to talk about this in our project and with the various ones happening at Valley, Strata, and up north. So supporters, collaborators, and finally a great team. So we started in 2008 with 2 people in a basement. We've grown to 8 full-time. This summer we had about 13 people on payroll, and you know, I think people were excited to be involved in a startup. They believed in an open platform and what we were doing, and I think we're on our way to success with this. So anyways, that's where I'm going to stop, and I'd like to turn it over to those that are really interested in our technology and some of the projects that we've done.